Okay, folks, today we are going to build a simple multiband compressor in Reason. This is more of a beginner tutorial, so if you're an advanced user, please don't be so hard on me. What we need first is an audio track, so I pulled up a vocal of a singer, and we insert a combinator in here, and on the backside we connect two devices with the input of our combinator. For the next thing we go into the effects and search for stereo, and we get the M-class stereo imager. This is very important because we got that X over frequency knob here, which is basically the split point between our lows and highs. To copy our device, we hold down Control whilst dragging down 2 times because we need 3 instances of stereo imager for this. And then we need a compressor. It really doesn't matter which compressor you use for this, but there's one important thing. We hold Shift while dragging it in so it doesn't get connected. Keep in mind you got an input gain and an output gain, because if you don't have an output gain you are not able to tune the loudness of the different sections. So the output gain is very important. If you would use the channel dynamics, for instance, there's no output gain in here. So it auto levels the audio to a specific loudness and you don't have control over the maximum output. You only got this mix, this dry wet knob, which is basically useless for this. Okay, because of this issue, we would just take the M-class compressor because every one of you should have this. We copy it 3 times, so we get 4 in total. And since we got our combinator mixer, that's everything we need. We disconnect the output of the first, and we switch all these separate out knobs to high band, and we should solo low band on all 3 of these. And now we connect our low band to our first compressor. The separate out goes into the input of the second stereo imager, and this output should be our low mids to the next compressor. Our separate out goes into the audio in of the third, and the third output should be our high mids, and our last separate out goes into the last compressor. From here on we need just the outputs of our different channels. You could hook this up into a mixer if you want to, so you could see which channel is which, but you get the same if you name the last device in your chain. Since they are in parallel, we need to name those so we could easily identify it. And this gives us the names of the channels so we could see what we do in here, but that's not that important. We just have to set this up the right way. So our first frequency split should be, depending on your song, but I guess 150 is a good value. The rest of this gets sent to the second stereo imager, and now we get to choose the frequency between 160 and, let's say, 1K, for instance. Everything that's above goes to the next stereo imager, and in this we gotta choose our high mids and the highs. So from here to right about 4K is our high mids, I guess, and everything that's above is our highs.
You were friends before, at least that's how you...
And as you see, the compressors with the different frequency ranges act differently to each other. So they don't act as one unit. You get 4 different compression effects depending on what's going in. So if you, for instance, would play a drum loop from here, the most of it would come from the lows because of the bass drum, but some low mids and high mids would be incorporated more by the snare, and the highs would be more triggered by the hi-hats and overheads. With this setup or something similar like this, you could easily control frequency dependent. You could also set up new buttons and controls. That's for another video. If you, by the way, if you like what I do, if you have specific questions about any technique in Reason, please let me know in the comments down below, because I can respond to you and maybe help out with that. And please leave a comment if I should make a video specific on the combinator and designing. We don't do that in this tutorial, but I could give you a little extra tip in here. If you take a combinator and go to its home folder, and there is a folder called Combinator Layout Templates. Here are pre-designed backdrops, so you could take this for instance and you get a little preview what could be done. You could use this. There are cool presets in here which could help you to design your combinator, but be sure to insert this first and then start building your combinator, because if you build your combinator and want to apply this later without making it yourself, with this method you would destroy what you did. But you could easily do Ctrl-Z to rewind your stuff. For a multiband compressor, I would typically go with this 4+4+4 dark or light, because you could apply the ratio knobs to rather the ratio, or you could use it as a threshold. You get 4 buttons where you could bypass the 4 different compressor, and you could apply these faders to the output volume, so you could easily level out your vocal balance. Okay, I guess that's all for today. Folks, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and if so, please leave a like and a comment down below, because this helps to push the algorithm and get in contact with more people. Have a nice day. See you next time. Bye.